Texans wide receiver position, area of strength last year, area of weakness now. How the heck did we get here? How do we get out of here? We got some news to react to that may help the cause. Let's go inside the locker room.
Yeah. It's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do.
State of the Texans wide receiver position. One of the biggest areas of need that is talked about quite often. The wide receiver position. What are the Texans going to do at the wide receiver position? And their options might, quite frankly, be limited. Or are they? Big event today that we've been talking about for a while. We'll get into that in a second. It is the locker room, number one source for Texans digital content. But I just want to lay out the 2024 season versus the 2025 season. And where the Texans are heading into this season as compared to where they were at wide receiver heading into next. And I provide a visual of two guys who were on the roster last year, Tank Dell and Stephon Diggs. I provide the amount of games played, and then I provide the receptions. And if you look at the far graphic, you see Christian Kirk, you see Jared Wayne, you see Watson, Hutchinson, Berrios, and Mechie. That is every wide receiver not named Nico Collins on the roster. Every single one of them. Those guys have less receptions in 44 more games than Stephon Diggs, 22. They have less yards by 54 in 44 more games than Stephon Diggs. They have 4 less touchdowns between all of them in 44 games. And then we look at Tank Dell, those stats, the touchdowns, etc. The wide receiver position has just completely changed in the last year. Last year, the discussion was, is this going to be one of the best trios in football? This year, the question is this the worst wide receiver room in football, especially when you get after Nico Collins? We'll see what happens with Christian Kirk. But the question always is, and we do play the blame game, fair or not. We try to be as fair as possible. We try to respect hindsight, what they were thinking when they made the move. But there is a blame game. How did they get to this point? And I think it's two things for the Texans. And I think there's also something really ironic about the wide receiver position, because if we're talking about the biggest need, I think the two positions that get discussed the most are wide receiver and offensive line. There can be others, but those are the two that I hear discussed the most. What are the areas of weaknesses? Wide receiver, offensive line. That's a hell of a price for two weaknesses, wouldn't you say? It's a hell of a price. Because you look at the investment on the offensive line, despite the fact that Texans have a bad offensive line, it's not for a lack of trying. It's not for a lack of investment. The Nick Caserio, D'Amico Ryans era, and the combination of the two without D'Amico, 2 with D'Amico, they invested a first-round pick, a second-round pick, and 3 really big contracts to guys that were already here, and a guy that they traded for. Laremy Tunsil was one of the higher-paid left tackles. Titus Howard was one of the higher-paid right tackles. Kenyon Green was a first-round pick. Juice Scruggs is a second-round pick. Shaq Mason got traded for. He got an extension. So they've invested heavily. It hasn't been neglect. They've invested in the offensive line. And then we look at the wide receiver position. 2 second-round picks, 2 third-round picks. You traded the second for Diggs. You used the second on Mechie. And you made 2 pretty damn good third-round picks with Nico Collins and Tank Dell. I don't think anyone can complain about that. If they find a Nico Collins or Tank Dell in this draft, I think you gotta respect what they did, especially if they do it in the 3rd round. But the question is, how did you get here? It's not because you neglected it. We just squashed that right there. It's not for a lack of trying. I think it's bad luck. And it's bad decisions. Stephon Diggs, trading for Stephon Diggs was not a bad idea. Now, you kind of look at some of these other moves and you wonder, was that a lot? And then even if you're going to, and then when you make the move, somehow you put yourself in position to where you get rid of a favorable contract, one that he basically just signed with less guaranteed money. Were you scared? Did you not want to play any hardball? Did you not care enough about leverage? Were you just trying to be player friendly? Like, what was that? Because now not only is he a rental, he's got $16 million, I think, in dead cap next year. So it's not a rental. It's a rental that you have a late fee on, basically. They basically went to, and I might be dating myself, they basically went to Blockbuster and they rented a video and they didn't return it for a month. To where you're basically buying the damn thing. How the hell does that happen? How the hell does that happen? Maybe they had a plan to sign him before early March when the dead cap wouldn't have happened. Maybe it was kind of an adjustment. My thing is, why was it even a possibility? Not to mention the restructuring of the contract also means you don't get a comp pick for him now. So you changed the contract, you lost a comp pick, and you got $16 million in dead cap for Stephon Diggs, who was on his way out in Buffalo. The trade by itself might look bad enough. I'm okay with it because, like I said, I understand their line of thinking. But you don't get a comp pick and you got $16 million dead cap? Can't be okay with that. When you had a 3-year contract ahead or 2 years with no guaranteed money, come on. Like, you ain't got to give that much. This is a pretty popular place to play. So that's one of the ways that you get to this situation. And that's the happenings. But you also probably didn't anticipate that Stephon Diggs was going to get hurt for the first time in his entire career. So there was some bad luck there too. Maybe the rental would have looked better had Stephon Diggs been making plays in the playoffs. Maybe there's a possibility of that. But the fact that they don't get a comp pick and you're paying $16 million is a hard pill to swallow when it comes to the Stephon Diggs thing. I don't get it. I'm sure there's some sort of explanation. I just don't get it at all. I'm fine letting him go. Y'all already screwed it up. But that is inexcusable for that to happen. Inexcusable. The rental by itself, a lot of draft nerds would say, you don't trade back 19 spots or you don't trade a second round pick for a rental. That would be bad enough. I'm actually fine, whatever. Y'all wanted to try to put together a great receiving core and you had the extra draft pick with Minnesota. You probably made that trade knowing you were going to make the move. I'm not going to fault you for a torn ACL. And quite frankly, I think the rental is great. That's fine. When I first heard it was a rental, I thought that was fine. I didn't know the rental eliminates the comp pick. And I did, but now it's kind of re-emerging. And then you have 16 million dead cap. I think that 16 million in dead cap bitch slapped a lot of us. And that's just the nerdy portion of the fan base that listens to me or Cody Stutes or Texans Cap that really talks about that. 16 million dead cap next year? for a rental? And you lost a comp pick? Okay. I'm done talking about that. We'll move on. That's crazy to me. Then you had the bad luck after the Diggs trade. And that's how you get from last year's wide receiver core to this wide receiver core. You had Diggs get injured. You had Tank Dell really not playing very well until the Kansas City game. I mean, there was a handful of games where he was a non-factor. Maybe not his fault. Coming off an injury, and we already know everybody's two favorite words whenever we talk about the 2024 Texans offense.
Damn it, Bobby.
You had that. With the Tank injury, worst case scenario, Diggs is a rental. Tank Dell ready to go. Maybe or maybe not a quality two, who knows, but they did not anticipate the Tank Dell injury. So that kind of magnifies the Diggs thing. Like when you're looking at the Diggs thing on the surface, it's like, man, this Tank Dell getting hurt, you kind of add that, and that's a big part of how we got to where we're at. Then you had the MIA Mechie breakout. Maybe they were relying on that. Maybe they were crossing their fingers. Shout out to John Mechie for overcoming what he overcame early. I've talked to him about it. I think he would like to move past it. But the John Mechie breakout has not happened. There's been multiple opportunities with guys out. It hasn't happened. There's been times where there's like flashes, and then there's times where there's some real low points. So that did not happen. I would say perhaps when they made this Diggs decision, maybe they thought that Tank would continue to progress and John Mechie would be in a situation where, hell, maybe he's like your slot guy. Maybe John Mechie's like a quality four, so you feel good about it. Maybe John Mechie, maybe they just thought, maybe by then John Mechie would be better than Braxton Berrios, Watson, and some of the other guys. So they probably hoped that. So that's where they are. That's the line of thinking. That's how we got here with the wide receiver position. I do have some good news, though. One of the guys that appears to be one of the more popular names, letting Noah Brown go was weird, too. For a while, I'd be like, what was the point? He caught that Hail Mary against Washington. I know he got hurt. He gets hurt a lot, but damn. But Emeka Egbuka had his workout today. He had his pro day. He ran his 40. A lot of talk about what's going to happen with him. There he goes. Scooting a little bit. Not too bad. Official time. And a lot of these kind of change. From time to time, but about a 4.46 to a 4.49 is what we heard on Egbuka. So nothing that's just going to like completely soar his stock, but about what you would expect. I think he can hold his head on that. He can hold his head high on that. And all the other stuff didn't remeasure. 201, 38-inch hops. That's about what you want. And then the short shuttle, not bad either. So Egbuka did his thing. I think he's right there in that 25 range. Maybe this plays out and he's the guy that ends up falling to the Texans. He becomes kind of the face of optimism in this wide receiver group. You know what Nico Collins can do. You hope Christian Kirk can do a little something. But we'll see what happens. OO says the problem is the scheme, not the players. That's a dumb line of thinking, OO. That's stupid. Nico Collins still produced. Tank Dell had a hell of a rookie season, and he kind of fell off. This has been what we've seen from John Mechie. You think this wide receiver core is good? They lost two of their top three guys. So you think you want to roll with Xavier Hutchinson and John Mechie? I don't think so. It can be multiple things, but I think it's the Joes and the X's and O's. That's why they got a new OC. That's why maybe they get some new wide receivers. but we'll see. Yeah, 40 time was good. That's good. Yeah. I mean, you wanted average. 4.45, good to go. Good to go. Rich Boy Jay says, is it possible that Hutch and Mechie shine with our new OC? Anything's possible. Shout out to Kevin Garnett. Would you bet on it, though? I mean, I don't know about the Mechie thing. I actually kind of intrigued by Watson. Just given what's on the back end of the depth chart, if you tell me that I'm looking at Watson, Mechie, and Hutchinson competing, the most intriguing thing for me would be Watson. Hutchinson's fine. Hutchinson's a third-year player. He's a day 3 pick. He can continue to get better. The Mechie thing's a little bit different. Do I think they shine? I wouldn't bet on it. If they touch wide receivers in free agency, it's going to be after the draft. It's going to be on the back end. Some guys might get released. We'll figure that out. But right now, I think the Ibuka thing is what it is. Voided Being says there's trolling. What's the trolling? Elaborate on the trolling. What is the trolling? You think the wide receiver group is good? You think John Mechie's going to have a breakout season? You think Xavier Hutchinson's good? You think Watson, who's had better years than all them, is trolling? What's the trolling, bro? But D-Hop? Oh, okay. Chase says, I take Watson over Mechie for sure. Yeah, I didn't even think that was a big discussion. See what he's got. I think he's interesting. Jalen thinks he's interesting. We'll see. We'll see what it goes. It's a chicken or egg argument. Sean brings it up. Talent overcomes scheme. Scheme just helps move the ball further down the field. Hey, I think it's both. I think it's both. I think we've seen instances where guys have overcome poor schemes and balled out, and we've seen instances where guys have been held back by scheme. We've seen instances where it didn't matter what the scheme was, the guys sucked, so they weren't going to do anything. But I'm with you. Roll one. Shout out to him. Perhaps also on that
high-grade marijuana called Kush on the streets.
He says we can get a wide receiver in the 3rd round. Who do you like? Who do you like in the 3rd round? I actually, day 2 of this wide receiver thing doesn't really entice me. I'm more of like, day 1, there's 3 names. Day 2, like, I kind of want to see what happens with Burden. But day 3 is where I'm kind of a little bit more interested in the wide receivers. The day 2 doesn't really excite me. It's weird because it's just not as deep of a wide receiver. There's going to be a steal. There's going to be steals there. But I don't know about the day 2. The day 2 is not as exciting to me. Someone brings up Keenan Allen. I like Keenan Allen. They liked Keenan Allen last year. They tried to trade for Keenan Allen before Stephon Diggs. They just tried to give up a 3rd rounder next year instead of that year. So they got outbid. He didn't have a bad year last year. Now there's talk, well, he wants to be on the West Coast. Okay, well, that's some news for you. Vontae Adams got signed. You kind of do some work in the slot. They got a pretty fast honky up there in Los Angeles for Harbaugh. Might be a 1st-round pick in fantasy this year, man. At least damn sure 2nd. He's top 15 wide receiver production-wise last year. His name's Lab McConkey. Maybe they can use multiple slots. Don't threaten me with a good time using multiple slots. I don't know about that dude, though. I don't know about that dude. So he can't go to L.A., I don't think, either one of them. Seattle just signed Cooper Kupp. And they have Jackson Smith and Jigba. That seems like a little bit of a problem. I think that's considered West Coast. San Francisco's in a weird spot. Like, there's talk about them selling the team. There's talk about them cutting money. They just got rid of Deebo Samuel, but they got Ayuk and Pearsall. So I don't know if they want Keenan Allen. So do the Bears want him back? He said that was a possibility. Or does he even want to play football? He's made like $110 million. I mean, it probably sucks when you have a few kids, met your wife in LA, and then you have to go to Chicago. That probably sucks. But I say all that to say, like, the Keenan Allen possibility, if you think he's just not good and you think that he's washed and you don't think he fits in with what they do, like, whatever the reason that you don't think Keenan Allen's a fit with the Texans, I understand. I understand completely. But I don't know that the West Coast thing is realistic for him. So if he wants to play football, I don't know if he's going to be able to do so on the West Coast. Unless I miss some West Coast teams. Like, is Arizona close enough west? Like, does he want to go play with Jonathan Gannon and Kyler Murray? Like, so if you don't think Keenan is a fit, completely understand. But I don't know that the West Coast thing is still a thing. I would kind of look past that. So that's how we got here with the wide receivers and the current situation that we're in. We also have some contract news, and I think this is interesting. I thought maybe they're moving on from this guy. I don't know. Hell, the way they restructure contracts, they might just want to pay him in 2026 and keep him around. I don't know. With the way they handled the Diggs thing. But Nico Autry got his contract reworked. He is he going to be here? Got a lot of D linemen now, which is fine. D'Amico knows what to do when it comes to that defense, man. It might, I mean, the investments might be heavy, but he knows what he's doing. If they want to keep Nico Autry and Rankins and all these bodies, more power to him. Andre's asking about the tight ends. He asked, does Cade take a step forward with the new OC? I'm going to say yeah, but I would say yes, but I think Cade Stover was going to take a step forward no matter what. Even if Bobby Slowick were still here, I think Cade Stover was going to take a step forward.
Damn it, Bobby.
Because he's a hardworking dude. He literally doesn't do anything except go from home to work out. I saw this on like some Buckeyes podcast. They asked him how Houston was. I don't know. I'll just go home and then I'll go work out. First time he's been away from home too. So I'm sure he needed like some soul cleansing. You imagine being from like a small farm town, like big Ohio guy, Buckeye. You're there for 22 years. You know how close the farm like fam is. You have any country like relatives? No, I know some farmers from my dad's side. Like it's just like, and then you go to Houston, kind of a little bit raw at the position, not as strong as you should be. Show some flashes. Have some rookie struggles. But I think Cade's built to where he was going to take a step forward this year no matter what. I think even if they were running Bobby's offense, I think from the blocking perspective and all that, I thought he was going to be good. So the answer is yes, but I think that was going to happen no matter what. I don't think he's scheme dependent. Like Dalton Schultz, there was no hope for him left with the way that Bobby Slowick was using him. There was no hope.
Damn it, Bobby.
It wasn't happening. Like, as a matter of fact, he was getting so exposed. It was ridiculous. They were basically asking him to be a right tackle or a left tackle. It was awful. So maybe they find something from Dalton Schultz in this scheme. I know it's probably not going to be a good ROI. It's not going to match the contract. But I think there's a chance that Dalton, like, I think this scheme can revive him. There was zero hope for him in Bobby Slowick's and what Bobby turned into in year two and what we were seeing. But yeah, Cade's going to be I think Cade's probably going to be jacked the next time we see him.
Every day it's just me and a pile of iron.
From like barrels of hay or just like old school Nolan Ryan dumbbell workouts.
Every day it's just me and a pile of iron.
Brevin Jordan, we'll see what happens there. But the tight end position is interesting. Could definitely help with the wide receiver. I mean, when you're when you're talking about where they're at wide receiver, tight end would be nice. Tight end production would be very nice. God knows you're paying for it. So we'll see how that goes. Do I think they'd go with the 2 tight end offense? I have no idea. I don't know what the hell they're doing. They say it's a hybrid. I think there's going to be a lot of slots. I don't know, but I don't know what the tendencies are going to be. I don't know what the formations are going to be. I don't really know what Nick Caley's going to do. I'm intrigued. I'm excited about it, honestly. Like this stuff, like what we're talking about right now, it's not negative. Like it's reality. It's fun though. Like the process is fun. The process of seeing how this team has been built is fun. They're going to make mistakes. Like everyone's making mistakes. The Chiefs drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the first round. Did that go well? No. Like Baltimore's whiffed on so many receivers, you lose count. So when you're breaking down these moves, it's more so just because you don't want to repeat them, and it's the situation that they're in. It's not negative though. It's just where they are. There's a lot of, the good thing is there's a lot of variables to getting out of it. We kind of, and sometimes you find yourself in a pigeonhole when you're talking about this offense because, you know, I'm sitting here and I'm going down the offensive line, the tight ends, the wide receivers, the running backs, and just talking about this offense. Well, you know what? Maybe you overcome those things in another area. Maybe you overcome any offensive lack of talent, any offensive shortcomings. Maybe you overcome it with having a badass defense. Ask Joe Burrow what it was like this year, having all those weapons on offense and breaking records. And should have been in the MVP discussion. Their defense sucked. That's the Philadelphia Eagles. Before they won the Super Bowl, they had one of the worst defenses in the league. Defense, one of the top. Still a good offense, though. So maybe that's how you overcome it. The defense is really good. Maybe you're running the ball. Maybe these guys are coached up. Maybe they find some gyms and there's some talent. Maybe these guys that we're talking about like do their thing. Who knows? But there's other ways to overcome it. Plenty of ways to overcome it. A lot of variables. That's the beauty of it. I think there's only 3 guys at wide receiver that would warrant the 25th pick. That's just me. I don't know what they think. I think Ibuka, McMillan, and I guess Golden. McMillan doesn't like football, though. That's a quote from him. He also, Steve Smith doesn't think he plays hard. I don't know if they're going to love that. Now, maybe if you were an offensive lineman, they might look past it. But I don't know that at any other position they're going to look past that. And that's the past. I'm bringing up old stuff. We don't know how Nick Caley and Cole Popovich roll. But a guy who doesn't try hard and doesn't like football, we'll have him block for our quarterback. Nah, I'm just kidding. Kind of. Yeah, I don't think that's too swarm for him. I don't think that's too swarm. Speaking of which. You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
Doyle says, this is a bet. We're trying to bet here. Okay. $100 super chat says Greg Zabel is the best OL in this draft. Stop discounting small school guys. # farm kids. Shout out to Doyle because I know where he's getting that from. He's getting that from SNL earlier today. We played our Shark Tank. I'm out, and I was out on any D lineman, and I was out on Greg Zabel. Look, I'm not against small school guys. There's obviously a lot of exception with small school guys. I'm skeptical about them drafting offensive linemen. And when you tell me that they draft an offensive lineman from North Dakota State, I get a little bit skeptical. I covered North Dakota State. I covered three of their championships. Sidelines with Westwood won. Boy, Ted Emmerich on the call. I respect what they got. Shout out to Coach Bull. Taking down Willie Fritz a couple times. Now the U of H coach, formerly at Sam Houston. I don't trust him to draft an offensive lineman out of North Dakota State. We'll see, though. It's a little bit different times. I do need to get that through my thick skull. It's a new scheme. It's an uncertain scheme now. It's an uncertain scheme. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. Like, I know you have to snap back because you're talking about the past. It's completely different. You just hope it's not a blind spot. You hope once they recharge, because this time last year, let's just think about this. This is the good news. This is where we flip it here in the locker room, number one source for Texans digital content. Subscribe, like, right along. Shout out to all y'all for being here. Especially the ones on that
high-grade marijuana called Kush on the streets.
or just a milk. Like, I'm not peer pressuring you. Just a milk, water, Gatorade, whatever. However you do it. Liquor, whatever. Beer, whatever you're on. I'm just talking about what I'm on. But here is the good thing about the offensive line and the wide receiver. If you really, really, really want to think positive about this and kind of flip around all the talk about the wideouts. So this time last year, they thought they were set at wide receiver. They thought they were set on offensive line. Now, throw the fact that they were wrong out the window. Throw the fact that they were wrong out the window. Okay? They thought they were set. They were wrong. There were some injuries. There were some bad decisions. The offensive line was terrible. Throw that out the window. But they didn't go in like to, at this point in the process, March 26th of 2024, less than a month away from the draft. They didn't go into this process saying, man, we really, really, really got to figure something out with this offensive line and these receivers. We got to figure it out. No, they went in there saying, damn, we need a corner. Like, we need a corner. And we really need actually playmakers in the secondary. That's what we need more than anything. We need that. Because we're in trouble right now if we don't have it. That's how they went into the process right now. And they bear down. They got Kalen Bullock in the third round. One of the best rookie safeties in the league. And before that, they got Kamari Lassiter. After the corner run actually had already happened. We were all pissed. Let's just be serious. I wanted Kool-Aid McKinstry. I wanted Cooper DeJean. I wasn't talking about Kalen Bullock. And the people who were saying he was an inside guy. But I'm saying this because they bear down in heading into the draft. They had a certain need and they attacked it. That's what they got to do with the wide receiver and the tight ends based on are the wide receivers in the offensive line. So maybe when they put their mind to it and they focus heading into a draft, they're able to get stuff done. The year before, that was easy. We have 2 and 12. Oh, we can trade. We can get CJ. We can get Will. Yeah, awesome. One of the best drafts of all time. But any of y'all could have done that. Any of y'all could have done that. What they did last year was impressive. 1 year through. We know that you don't want to crown the rookies too early, especially the DBs. But maybe if they put their mind together and they're able to have that type of impact on offense, a lot of things can change. A lot of things can change. And that's the beauty of it. We can be wrong about it. We can be wrong about it. So we'll see how they attack it. We'll see what they do. But there are other ways to overcome it. And that's the beauty of the process. That's the fun part about this. The emotion, like when is there off time in football season, honestly? Is it June? I don't know. We're approaching camp. Starting to see all like the transfer portal stuff, the team, like all that. Like, I think the downtime is like, and it's not even really that down. I think it's right now and next week. And then it just kind of speeds up. That's the beauty of it. You got the draft process, you got the free agent process, you got camp, you got the preseason, you got the regular season, you got the playoffs. And I would be saying this whether I did this or not. This is what I would be doing. This is what I'd be talking about. It's a hell of a ride. Jimmy Crack Corn said he was upset till he saw the 3-cone drill by Lassiter. Yeah. Didn't really think much of it. When I figured Lassiter was okay was when, I'll be honest. First of all, I didn't know that he was the Kirby Smart viral quote where Kirby was talking about how guys at Georgia, remember when Florida State and Georgia met and there were all the opt-outs, and Georgia just completely smoked Florida State because they thought they should have been in the championship and all their players didn't play. I remember Kirby Smart going on the rant, and I forgot that it was about Kamari Lassiter. I had forgotten that. So when I heard that, I kind of was intrigued because I kind of made fun of that viral clip and was like, what a hardo Kirby Smart is. But when he was doing this, he was talking about Kamari Lassiter.
Kamari Lassiter had a 1-2 grade, first, second round grade. And Kamari had to make a tough decision like all these other people. And I called Kamari in and I talked to him and I told him, Kamari, you should come out for the draft. That's my opinion. You're one of the top corners in the draft. You got to make that decision. Okay, that's one decision. Then the second decision is you got to decide if you want to play this bowl game. I don't know that you got a lot to gain in this bowl game, Kamari, but I do know who you are. And I do know how you practice, and I do know how you lead. But I'm not going to be disappointed in anything you decide. He came back about 3 or 4 days later, and I met with him and his mom and talked to him and fully expected him not to play in this game. He called me 2 days later, said, Coach, I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm sitting out. I'm over there coaching. I can't do it. I want to be out there. I want to play with my guys. And I think he did it against his mother's will, to be honest. Now, I don't know that, but I think he did it against his mother's will because that's who he is. So all these teams that go shopping, this dude right here wants to play football. That's all he cares about is playing football and his teammates. He ain't worried about the next thing and all that and all that. He said, I want to play football. And he played football for the University of Georgia. And he did it when he didn't have to do it. And that's what's different at this place than a lot of other places. Thank you.
I'm not going to lie. Like that was step one to the Lassiter belief because the draft process is crazy. We're going to freak out. We're going to freak out on the stream. Let's be serious. We're going to bitch about certain picks. We're going to like certain picks. The ones that we bitch about might end up being J.J. Watt. The ones that we like might end up being a Moby Okoye. It's going to happen. But when I saw that, I was just kind of like, oh, okay. That's who Kirby Smart was being hardo about. Okay. I can see why they like him. Started wondering, okay, is this just like an intangible type of thing? You know, they like the makeup and the swarm. You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
But then I walked into camp and I look over there and they had signed Akuda and Henderson. And I'll be damned, that inside guy is not only lined up on the outside, he's with the first team and he's not coming off the field. So you immediately thought, okay, well, maybe they didn't just think of him as an inside guy. Maybe there's a little bit something here. Then you kind of saw him compete a little bit. Then you got to see him going against Diggs, Dell, and Nico. He was holding his own, and you were like, man, this guy's going to be good. Going to be good. And just 1 year in, we go from, at this point last year, saying, damn, they need a corner to, damn, they might have the best corner duo in football. Will we be doing that about the wide receiver Could that happen? Who knows? They find this year's Kamari Lassiter. Tune in. I think it's a conversation worth having. Conversation worth having. But that was the whole process. You guys rode along with it. We've been doing this digital for 3, even during the radio, hosting the top radio show and that. We were doing this. We rode that. I didn't hear too many people overly pumped about Kamari Lassiter or see it. Well, that's close. Doyle on the soup.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
Swarm the like button. Yes, please. That would be cool if you did. Blue Boy 9 says Diggs wanted to be closer to his boo thing. Hello. Who's his boo thing? Who's his boo thing? Fill me in, Blue Boy. Who's his boo thing? What are we talking about? Cardi B? Where does Cardi B live? I don't even know where Cardi B lives. That's who you're talking about. I don't know. No idea. But the question remains, is wide receiver the biggest need heading into the draft? I would say yes. I would say, though, there's other ways to overcome that. Sometimes the opportunity's not there. So the answer would be yes. If you could just say, give me a good player at this position, the answer would be yes. Are there other ways to go? Yes, because of what this is like. Okay, so Cardi B's in NYC, huh? Good for her. And good for him. JJ Watt. We got some news. JJ Watt is going to be calling games with Iron Eagle this year. I kind of feel like JJ is going to be pretty good at this. I think JJ, when he gets fired up, usually like at halftime, I feel like that's when he's at his best. I think pregame and stuff, he's not as good. Postgame, he's good. Pregame, he's average. But I think if you put JJ Watt in a stadium, he gets to kind of feel the atmosphere. He's going to have the best, and yes, the best play-by-play guy. Way better than Jim Nantz. Iron Eagle's better than Jim Nantz. It's not close right now. Y'all could have this discussion today. It's not even close. Iron Eagle's the guy. But he's going to set JJ up nicely. They're going to be a nice squad. I bet they call a lot of Texans games too. Probably a couple, at least. Because they're still not the A team. They're still going to use Romo Nance. Yeah, I think JJ will be good at that. He's damn sure not going to be Jason Witten. Remember how horrible he was? Good Lord. That was sad, actually. I actually kind of felt sorry for him. I actually kind of felt sorry for old Witten. How many primetime games will the Texans get this year? I'll say 3. I'll say probably 3. I don't think they'll have as many. They're not like the Jaden Daniels is going to take he's kind of moved over as like the next it guy. So there'll be that. The AFC South's really not going to be in a lot of demand. I still think the Texans will get a few. I'll say 3. Hopefully. You know who doesn't want primetime games? Nico. And I think that really, really shell-shocked them last year. They won't admit it, but you could kind of read between lines. They kind of admitted it after the season. But to go from an NFL season where you literally play every game at Sunday at noon, except the final game of the season, and then to play on the Hall of Fame game in the preseason, which, by the way, that took a lot out of people. Like that, it makes the season longer. It's a big obligation. There's a lot going on. It's not fun for the players, the Hall of Fame game. I know they're not really playing, but it's just, you'd rather be sleeping in your own bed, chilling. You don't want to go like that early. Like, yeah, not fun Hall of Fame game. Thursday night football, Monday night football, Sunday night football, Wednesday, Saturday. I'm not sitting here saying it's always going to be like it was 2 years ago, but I mean, that's what any coach would like. Like we had Gary Kubiak on the stream, and Gary Kubiak he said, yeah, I mean, if you tell me I can get Sunday at noon every time, sure. We like the primetime games. It's fun. But as far as being in a routine, if you give a coach a perfect routine and a player, I know some of them like the bright lights, but if you give them that, they're going to take it every time. What they do to like what they have to do, like to recover, what they have to do to prepare, like just the mental clock. Forgot what day it was last year. Some of those games. Forgot what day it was. Someone says Moose Johnson was bad. Moose Johnson was good. He's fine. What's wrong with Daryl Johnson? You don't like his suits or what? I think Moose was good. I don't think Moose was bad. Fifth Ward says he might be the next Sean Madden. JJ, that's intense. That's intense. But yeah, you expect a few primetime games for the Texans. Few. Schedule will be out pretty soon. That's always fun too. Where it gets laid out, how it gets laid out. The opponents are set. But how that thing shapes up, always fun. Are they going to open the Texans against an AFC South team? Is that where we're going again? Is it going to be Indianapolis, Tennessee? What if it's Cam Ward's first game? I think that would be good. I want to see that little Cam Ward CJ action. Prime, like that's they should open the season in Tennessee. Because the last two times those teams have played, it's been kind of pitiful. Like Amy Adams Stank is like treating it like some sort of big deal. It's kind of the back end for the Texans where they don't care as much. Last year, the Titans, they kind of needed to lose. The year before, Case Keenum played. That was big, though. That was a big one. Titans were just trying to win to, like, be haters, though. I think they should open the season again in Tennessee against the Titans. I think that's the perfect way to open the season. That's what I'm rooting for. Texans, Titans, Cam Ward's first game. CJ Stroud looking to bounce back against a guy who's trying to climb up and become that next big thing. The old Oilers versus the Texans. Amy Adams Stank versus the McNairs. All the bad blood. That's how I want to open the season. Not the Jags. Man, the Jags are boring. I know the Texans are boring. Like I don't sit here and act. I'm not saying that like from a perspective of like nobody's really circling the calendar for Houston except the Titans. Like we're being honest, like nobody, like teams aren't, let's just be serious. Like they're not opening the schedule. Oh, yes, that's when we play them. They're like maybe division to a point, like you count the divisions, but it's not like, oh, I got to get jacked up for that one. So I'm just saying that from like my own personal excitement, knowing who the opponents are. I know the Texans aren't quite moving the needle as much. But if I were Cam Ward, that's not who I want to start my career against. Although sometimes you just get thrown to the wolves. CJ had to open against Baltimore. The other thing about it is you get more time to prepare and you're not roughed up. I actually think it's better because you have to play them anyways. Like what's worse? Like you might have some like mental reps, but let's say you're banged up. Let's say it's a short week. Let's say it's a Thursday night game against the Texans defense. Wouldn't you rather just get that out of the way the first one? Figure it out. Open the season against the Titans. Let's make it happen. Got a lot of beef there. Definitely won't be a primetime game. That's a nooner. That's a nooner. You know it. I know it. Everyone knows it. That's a nooner. I love the nooners, man. You just kind of chill, and then you get to watch the rest of the game. It's a nooner. Would Cam be ready to start day one? I don't know. Might as well, right? I don't know. I'm not really overly like if the Texans were in the Titans position and they had the number 1 overall pick, I'd be like, damn. I guess we got to take Cam Ward. I guess we'll take him. All right. What's the worst that can happen? And you know the names that's going to be thrown out too. That's the funniest part about it. Well, you saw what CJ Stroud did 2 years ago and what? This Tennessee Titans fan. You saw what CJ Stroud did 2 years ago, and now you saw what Jaden Daniels did. Cam Ward time. You can see it. And I get the excitement. The Titans just have been kind of a weird team where you think they're rebuilding, then they're throwing money at free agents, and then they're pissing off all their fans and all that. What are we saying here, Benji? Yeah, I'm looking up the national. Yeah, I guess there's still a chance that the Texans play primetime. Who knows? Benji says, slept on the guy in the draft, Willie Lampoon. Clearly loves the game, works super hard, and is so technically advanced and plays with so much heart and passion. I'll take your word for it. He's a guard, right? He's from UNC, right? He's with Omarion, right? Is that right? Let me know. I'm not going to pretend to know much about him. Okay, Willie Lampkin. Okay. Willie Lampkin. Yeah, UNC. Okay, yeah. When's he supposed to go? I think Hampton shouted him out at the combine or something. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't know much about him. To be honest, I don't know. Like, how early are we talking? Talking like day 2? What are we talking? Primetime says in the chat the Titans take Travis. I think Travis Hunter's just a good receiver. Like, I don't think it's like some sort of generational thing. I think he's going to be an average corner in the NFL. I don't think it's going to be great for him. I think eventually he ends up being a full-time receiver. I think it's like the opposite of Chris Gamble. I think Chris Gamble was Chris Gamble was really the last guy we were talking about like this. But Gamble at Ohio State was like the chosen one and all that. He is a better corner than receiver. I think Travis Hunter's a better receiver than corner. Chase brings up that Cam Ward is only 8 months younger than CJ. That's weird. There's always some weird ones. My favorite weird one right now that I heard last year and I've just used is it's almost like my party trick now. Like, you bring this up in front of a bunch of bros when you're like talking ball. I'm sure I've probably said it in here a few times. That do y'all know what I'm gonna say? Sam Darnold is younger than Joe Burrow. I think that's crazy. Like, I know it feels like Sam Darnold's been in the league for like 100 years. And, Joe Burrow, it's been long, but it doesn't seem like that long of a time. He gets hurt a little bit. But yeah, Cam Ward, 8 months difference. Well, remember the Hendon Hooker where they were talking about how older he was than a lot of guys? But yeah, Cam Ward, the age, whatever. I just don't like, just put yourself in their position. Like it's one thing to kind of hate. And I mean, the Texans have been in that position where, you know, you're taking Bryce or CJ, depending on which one goes. And I think they wanted Bryce. But like, if you were in that situation and like, what would you be saying? Would you be saying take Cam Ward? Would you be saying take Shador? Would you be saying take Abdul Carter? Would you be saying trade? Because that'd be a tough situation. Because I know the discussion, if we already went back last year, the year before was basically like, do you take a quarterback? It was just kind of the overwhelming majority. I was whatever, but the overwhelming majority was take a quarterback. I just like Cam Ward. I wouldn't be pumped about it. It wouldn't overly excite me. So that's where the Titans are. And unfortunately for Callahan, he's got to take the QB because Amy Adams Stank is going to make you do what she wants to do. She wants to get a new stadium. Like, but my thing is like, is Cam Ward going to get you a new stadium? If they take Carter, then it gets a little bit interesting. Then we start to wonder what's going on. I don't think Russell Wilson prevents the Giants from taking a quarterback. I think Cleveland would probably have to take one at that point. Perhaps. Yeah, I would probably go Abdul Carter. It's like the Micah Parsons fever. But who knows what the Texans will do? We saw the Emeka Ibuka thing. And that was interesting to see. I don't know if anyone's going to fall in love with him or what, but keep an eye on that. The running back would be the most exciting thing for me. That's where I'm at. I'm with the running back. Sean James asked about them trading for Dak in Cleveland. Yeah, it was some guy, some longtime media guy. I heard that there's no way when it comes to like the cap. I texted someone in Cleveland and I just asked them and they were like, no way. And then I saw there's some Dallas people that talked about it. I don't know. That would be crazy. I mean, that would definitely break the internet. They want to break the internet, figure that out. I think you're probably going to have to figure out, give someone a headache trying to do all that math with all the salaries in the way of it. Who knows? You think the Texans would have taken Carter instead of Cam Ward? D'Amico would have gone with that? I think it's very possible. But yeah, there's no math or anything I can see there. Who knows? Who the hell knows? What a mess Cleveland's in. All this is made possible. All this hope, by the way, brought to you by the Browns. Brought to you by the Cleveland Browns. So it could always be worse. It's one of my 2 life mottos. It could always be worse, and people are stupid, including your boy. Appreciate y'all for rolling through. We're getting to April. Tomorrow we got a little March Madness wager, if you so desire. It starts at 6. I'm going 16-0. I'm going all live betting during March Madness. We'll see how that goes, but I appreciate y'all for rolling through. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe to SNL. We were in suits today, if y'all missed it. SNL Texans Talk. And most importantly, always remember when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. It's draft time, baby. Wide receiver problems or not, offensive line problems or not, it's draft time, baby. Let's go.
Every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too. Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localized every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not too. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days. Opinions to give, we got takeaways. If it's up